welcome back. We're diving deep today. You ready for this?
Always.
It's open data and AI on the docket, specifically security and ethics.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot topic. Lots of potential, but some risks too.
Definitely a balancing act. And we've got some great intel fresh from the Global Open Data and AI Summit 2025 in London.
Oh yeah, I saw some of the early coverage on that. They're laser focused on practical solutions this year, it seems.
That's what I'm excited about. Not just talking problems, actually figuring out how to build a future where open data and AI can work, responsibly.
Safely too. It's got to be safe.
Totally. Okay, so first things first. Why is data privacy so crucial in AI? What's the connection to, our daily lives even?
Well, think about it. AI is already making decisions that impact you every day, maybe without you even noticing.
Really? Like what?
Those personalized recommendations you get on Spotify or Netflix.
Okay, yeah, I guess so.
Loan approvals, sometimes even medical diagnoses, all increasingly shaped by algorithms.
And algorithms are built on data, right?
Exactly. So if that data isn't protected, well, it can lead to some pretty bad outcomes.
I can imagine.
Like, imagine your personal information being used to train an AI that then makes, inaccurate or unfair decisions about you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's scary.
That's why these global regulations like GDPR are so important.
Right, the GDPR.
It's like almost a universal language for data protection, ensures consistent rules no matter where the data goes.
Because data doesn't stay put, it's constantly traveling.
All over the world, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk open data for a sec.
Open data, yeah. Huge potential, right?
Yeah.
Makes information freely available.
Yeah, for innovation, progress, all good things. But there's a catch.
Security risk.
Big one. Imagine a library with no locks. Anyone can walk in.
Take whatever they want.
Take it, damage it, steal it. That's the potential downside of open data if we don't do it right.
So what are they saying at the summit? Any solutions to this open data?
They're diving deep into it. Robust encryption is key, of course.
I was going to say encryption has got to be on the list.
But they're looking beyond the basics. They're even talking about homomorphic encryption.
Homomorphic encryption, what is that?
Okay, so it's pretty cutting edge. It lets you perform computations on encrypted data.
Without decrypting it first.
Yep. Analyze sensitive data while it's still totally protected. It's wild.
So, a super secure code that only authorized people can crack? That's amazing. What else are they looking at?
Access control is another biggie. You wouldn't give everyone keys to Fort Knox.
Right. Makes sense.
Same goes for data. Open data platforms need super tight access control to keep sensitive info away from the wrong hands.
So it's all about controlling who sees what. Are there ways to constantly monitor these platforms, though, like for suspicious activity?
Absolutely. Real-time monitoring is crucial. Think of it like an AI security guard, always on patrol.
Looking for any sign of trouble.
Exactly. Using algorithms to detect and respond to potential threats super fast.
Like an AI watchdog for your data. Okay, that makes sense. But I've also heard a lot about the potential for AI bias. Is that a big focus at the summit?
Oh, definitely. It's a huge concern. Basically, when an algorithm makes unfair decisions because of the data it was trained on.
Right. Like, if an AI is trained on mostly male resumes, it might unfairly favor men for jobs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just one example. It can happen in healthcare, loan approvals, all sorts of areas. And it can have real-world consequences.
So how do we fix this? Can we even prevent AI from being biased?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The summit is showcasing ways to detect and mitigate bias in AI. And get this, AI can actually be used to fight its own biases.
Wait, hold on. How is that even possible? I thought that AI just reflects the biases in the data it learns from.
You're right. The data is the foundation. But there are ways to train AI to be more aware of those biases, even identify them in data sets. One way is using adversarial networks.
Adversarial networks. Okay, tell me more.
So basically, you train two AIs against each other.
Ooh, like a battle of the AIs.
In a way, yeah. One's trained to detect bias, the other to hide it. It's a constant back and forth that pushes both AIs to become more sophisticated.
So they kind of make each other better at spotting bias. That's amazing. So we've got AI securing data, AI fighting bias. What else is on the agenda at the summit?
Well, they're also talking about how AI can boost cybersecurity itself. Think of it like an AI bodyguard for your data, working 24/7 to keep it safe.
Okay, that's a pretty cool image. Tell me more.
It can analyze network traffic, looking for anything suspicious. It can predict potential attacks before they even happen, and even help contain damage if a breach does occur.
Wow, so AI is like this multi-talented superhero for the data age.
You got it. But even superheroes need rules, right? That's where data governance comes in.
Data governance, fill me in. What's that all about?
Basically, it's about setting the ground rules for how data is collected, used, and shared. It's about building trust, making sure your data isn't treated carelessly.
Right, of course not. So data governance is like a code of conduct for how we handle sensitive information, making sure it's used ethically and responsibly.
Exactly. And transparency is a huge part of that. The summit is emphasizing the importance of knowing where your data comes from, how it's being used, what security measures are in place.
That makes total sense. We should all be informed about what's happening with our data, especially as AI becomes more integrated into our lives.
Absolutely. That's where open source tools, clear documentation, open communication, all of that becomes really important.
So it's about building trust through transparency, making sure everyone understands the rules of the game when it comes to data.
Exactly. But there's another piece to this puzzle, the legal side of things. Data privacy laws are constantly changing. It can be tough to keep up.
It feels like a moving target sometimes, trying to stay on top of all the latest regulations.
It definitely is, especially in a globalized world where data flows across borders. The summit is helping to unpack all of that, providing insights on how to navigate these legal complexities.
So it's like a roadmap for the ever-changing world of data privacy law.
You could say that, but the summit isn't just about theory and regulations. They're also showcasing real-world success stories.
Oh, interesting. Companies that are actually acing the data privacy game.
Exactly. Companies and organizations that are proving it's possible to leverage the power of AI while upholding the highest ethical standards.
Okay, I'm definitely curious to hear more about that. What are some examples of organizations that are doing data privacy and AI the right way?
Well, let's dive into a few case studies that really stood out to me at the summit. One fascinating example involves a healthcare organization that's using AI to improve diagnoses and treatment plans.
Okay, that sounds amazing, but also potentially risky when you're dealing with sensitive patient data. How are they ensuring privacy, especially with AI involved?
They've implemented what are called de-identification protocols. So before the data is even given to the AI, any personally identifiable information is removed.
So like scrubbing the data clean of anything that could link it back to a specific person?
Exactly. It's like giving the data a complete makeover so the AI can't trace it back to an individual.
That's reassuring. And are they transparent about this process?
Oh, totally. They have a publicly available data ethics policy that outlines how they collect, store, use, and protect data. No ambiguity whatsoever.
That's a fantastic example of how transparency builds trust. What other success stories caught your attention?
Another one I found really interesting involved a financial institution that's using AI to combat fraud in real time.
Wow, that's crucial these days with all the online transactions happening. But isn't there a risk of the AI flagging legitimate transactions as suspicious?
That's a valid point, and it's something they've addressed head on. They've built explainability features into their AI system.
Explainability features, what are those?
Basically, the AI can explain its reasoning. So if your transaction gets flagged, the system can tell you why.
Ah, so it's not just a black box making decisions. There's transparency built in so you can understand how the AI arrived at its conclusion.
Exactly. And that allows human analysts to step in and review the AI's decision-making process, ensuring accuracy.
That's a great example of humans and AI working together effectively.
Absolutely. It highlights a theme that kept coming up at the summit, the importance of human oversight in AI, especially when dealing with sensitive data.
Right, because ultimately it's about finding that balance, leveraging the power of AI while maintaining ethical and responsible data practices.
Couldn't agree more. These case studies show that it's not an either-or situation. We can have both innovation and responsibility. These organizations are paving the way for a future where AI and data privacy can really coexist.
It's so encouraging to hear about these companies doing it right, actually walking the walk.
Yeah, I agree. It's inspiring to see.
Gives me hope that we're heading in the right direction. But things change so fast in this field.
AI especially.
Yeah, it feels like every day there's something new to figure out.
Absolutely. It's constantly evolving. New challenges pop up all the time.
Yeah.
And, honestly, that's why events like this summit are so valuable.
I was going to say, it's got to be like the perfect place to stay ahead of the curve.
It's a global think tank, bringing together the best minds to tackle these issues.
I love that. Sharing knowledge, finding solutions together.
Exactly. And the insights they're coming up with, it's gold for anyone working with data, developers, policymakers, everyone.
I'm definitely feeling more informed after this deep dive. It's clear we need to approach both data privacy and AI carefully.
No doubt about it. They're intertwined, can't have one without the other.
Before we wrap up, were there any other success stories from the summit that really, stuck with you?
There was one more I wanted to mention. It showcases AI's potential to solve those big, complex problems, but in a way that respects privacy.
Okay, lay it on me.
It involved this research team using AI to analyze environmental data,
Environmental data, like what?
trying to predict and maybe even mitigate the effects of climate change.
Wow, that's ambitious. But climate data must be, massive. How do they manage all that while still protecting sensitive information?
Right, and often it comes from different countries, different organizations, right?
Yeah, lots of moving parts.
Well, they use something called federated learning. It's super cool. Basically, the AI model is trained on data that's distributed.
Distributed, so it's not all in one place.
Exactly. Instead of gathering everything in one central hub, which could, raise privacy flags.
Makes sense, yeah.
The algorithms actually travel to the data, learn from it locally, and then share just the insights, not the raw data itself.
So it's like sending the AI on a world tour to learn from different data sets without ever actually taking the data itself.
That's a great way to put it. It's a brilliant approach, allowing AI to tackle global challenges while keeping data safe and secure.
That gives me so much hope. It's like we're actually moving toward this future where AI can do good in the world without sacrificing our privacy.
We are. I really believe that.
But I think there are still a lot of people who are, unsure about AI, maybe even a little scared of what it could mean for the future. What would you say to them?
Honestly, I get it. It's a powerful technology, right? And any powerful tool can be misused.
Right. So it's not really the technology itself, but how we use it.
Exactly. It's on us to make sure AI is developed and used ethically, responsibly. That's why these conversations we're having are so crucial.
It's about setting those boundaries, making sure human values are always front and center.
Well said.
Yeah.
It's not about being anti-AI. It's about being pro-humanity.
Yeah, and this summit, it's like creating a space for that to happen.
Bringing experts together, thinking about these issues, finding solutions.
It's a good reminder that we're all in this together, shaping the future of AI so it benefits all of us.
I couldn't agree more. The insights from this summit, they're like a roadmap for navigating this new world we're building. And I think, we're just getting started.
It does feel like we've only scratched the surface here, but it's exciting. And I'm optimistic, honestly.
Me too. Seeing so many brilliant people working toward this shared goal, it's inspiring. Creating a world where AI and human values, they can coexist, even thrive.
Beautifully said. Okay, before we wrap up, any final thoughts for our listeners today? What can they do, to stay engaged in this space?
First thing, stay curious. This field is changing so rapidly, so keep learning. There are tons of resources online, and the Summit website's a great place to start. It's www.gotosummit.com.
We'll definitely link that in the show notes. But beyond staying informed, what else can our listeners do? How can they be active participants in all this?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. When you see a company using AI, ask about their data privacy practices.
So it's like being an informed consumer, not just of products, but of data as well.
Exactly. Find out how they're ensuring fairness, how they're being transparent. You have a right to know what's happening with your data.
Our choices matter too. We can support companies that align with our values.
Absolutely. Advocate for stronger data protection laws. Make informed decisions about who you trust with your data. We all have a part to play in this.
It's about using our collective power, right? To shape a future where technology serves us, not the other way around.
Well said. It's an exciting time to be involved in these conversations, and I'm truly optimistic about the future. We can create a world where data and AI benefit everyone fairly and safely.
That's a perfect note to end on. This has been an amazing deep dive, and I'm sure our listeners will be thinking about this long after we're done.
Me too. It's been a pleasure discussing this with you and our listeners.
And to all our amazing listeners out there, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious, and we'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration of the world's most intriguing ideas. It is amazing to think about all this progress, but yeah, you're right, it's an ongoing conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Always more to learn, new challenges popping up, you know how it goes.
So what's next? Where do we go from here? What did we learn?
I think the key takeaway from this whole summit is that we're all in this together. It's not just on the experts to figure this stuff out.
We all have a responsibility.
Yeah. We each need to become more aware, more engaged in this whole data privacy and AI conversation.
So it's about taking ownership of our digital lives And demanding more transparency from the companies that are, using our data.
Exactly. Don't be shy, ask questions. When you see a company using AI, dig a little deeper,
Find out what they're doing, how they're doing it.
Yeah. What data are they using? How are they protecting your privacy? Are they taking steps to make sure their AI is fair, unbiased, all of that?
It's like being a smart shopper, but instead of comparing prices, we're comparing data privacy practices.
I love that. We should be just as picky about who we trust with our data as we are about what we buy.
And our choices make a difference, right? Supporting companies that are doing things the right way.
Huge difference. Advocate for stronger laws. Be vocal if you have concerns. Our voices matter,
We have the power to shape the future of AI.
We do. Imagine a world where AI is helping us solve all these huge problems, climate change, healthcare, you name it, all while respecting our privacy, upholding our values. That's the future we can build.
It's a pretty amazing vision. It makes you realize the possibilities are, well, they're pretty much endless if we do this right.
They really are. It's been great exploring all this with you.
Likewise. And to all our listeners out there, a huge thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.